Apparently, the chick that he's been with that came up with the whole Basketball Wives show concept, Jackie, had cheated on him with Chris Webber and had a baby that is now in her 20s. And she basically lied and had Doug Christie thinking that this young lady was his daughter, when in all actuality, it was Chris Webber's baby.
So that's real news.
Have you ever watched a couple on TV and thought to yourself, something about them just seems too perfect? Like, instead of seeing two people in love, it feels more like you're watching them act out a role. That's exactly the feeling I always got when I saw Doe and Jackie Christie. Don't get me wrong, they've been together since 1996, which is almost 30 years now. That's a long time for any couple, especially one living under the spotlight.
Christie runs his life. To the point where he was playing with the Sacramento Kings, when he out on the bench, he wasn't allowed to look up because she said she didn't want him to catch the eye of a cheerleader or somebody in the crowd. And you see this on tape because they did a whole special on it, to where he sits down on the bench after he gets subbed out and have to do this till he gets subbed back in.
Doe was that guy on the basketball court who would blow kisses to Jackie during games. It wasn't just once or twice, it was during every game. And Jackie wasn't just sitting quietly in the stands either. She had them renewing their wedding vows every single year. That's right, every year, like clockwork. And you know what? A lot of people loved them for it. They seemed like the rare couple who managed to stay together in the public eye, especially in the world of the NBA, where marriages fall apart all the time.
I was doing nothing but telling the truth. I heard her say it, and I repeated it. I'm grown, and I do what I want. You know who I am. I'm Jackie Christie. That ain't gonna change.
But here's where it gets interesting. The more they worked to show off this perfect image, the more people started whispering. Questions started floating around. Why is Jackie at every event? Why doesn't Doe ever go anywhere on his own? Why do they renew their vows every single year? At first, these were just whispers, small talk. But now, those whispers are starting to make a lot more sense. Because what if I told you that this picture-perfect love story was actually hiding a secret? A secret so huge that it might have been the only thing keeping their marriage from falling apart completely?
I need to finish what I started. And that's the only reason that I ever even stepped onto the sideline from where I was at initially. Because I had to exercise some demons for myself, but more than anything is when you hear the narratives that are written by people who are not here and just have random stuff to say, it irks me because they don't know.
Let's break it down. This right here is where everything changes. Doug Christie, the man we've all seen for years, showing love to his wife, standing by his family, renewing vows, writing books about marriage, was raising a child that wasn't biologically his. And here's the twist, he didn't even know it. That's right. We're talking about Chantel Christie, the daughter everyone recognizes from reality TV and social media. The daughter who stood beside Doe in interviews. The one he proudly called his own for years. And nobody ever questioned it until now.
It's crazy. The enemy wants us to be distracted, man. You gotta put your blinders on. Stay focused, man.
Recently, the internet started buzzing. That quiet buzz turned loud when Chantel made a move that caught everyone's attention. She legally filed to change her last name. Now, think about that for a second. You don't just wake up one morning and decide to change your last name, especially when you've grown up with it your whole life. Something must have pushed her to do that. And that something was a DNA test. A test that allegedly revealed Chris Webber, yes, the former NBA star, as her biological father. When that news started spreading, people really began to connect the dots. Chantel's timing, the distance she's shown from Doe and Jackie lately, and now the legal name change. It all fits together. Of course, some people tried to come up with other explanations. Maybe it's just legal stuff. Maybe there's more to the story. But think about it. Would you really change your name and step away from the man who raised you, unless you found out something that shook you to the core? That kind of decision doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from pain, from truth. Once the DNA test came to light, It stopped being a rumor. It became reality. And the saddest part? Doe had no idea. All these years, he's been the loyal husband, renewing vows, raising kids, showing love, holding his family together. And all the while, he was unknowingly raising another man's child. But here's where it really gets messy. The word going around is that Jackie knew the whole time. She wasn't in the dark about any of this. There's talk that Jackie even wrote about it in a journal and left voicemails where she admitted she kept the truth hidden to protect the family. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. Jackie wouldn't do that. She loves Doe too much. But let's take a step back. This is Jackie Christie we're talking about. The same Jackie who has always made sure she's in control of the story being told about her life. The same Jackie who runs things on Basketball Wives, who gets upset when things don't go her way, who makes sure the world sees her marriage as flawless. Jackie doesn't just play the role of wife, she runs the entire Christie brand. And if something came along that could threaten that image, do you really think she'd let it? That's why a lot of people believe she kept it quiet. Because if Doe found out back then, who knows what would have happened? Maybe the brand would fall apart. Maybe the reality shows would stop. Maybe Doe would left. And for Jackie, that was a risk she couldn't take. Some folks are even saying Doe wasn't just a husband, he was a puppet in her plan. Now, let's really talk about Doe for a second. Over the years, fans started noticing something odd. Doe was never alone. Wherever he went, Jackie was right there. At first, people thought it was sweet. In a world where so many athletes cheat and families break up, seeing a man so in love that he wanted his wife with him all the time seemed romantic. But after a while, it started to feel off. Doe didn't go anywhere by himself. Not to meetings. Not to the gym. Not even to casual outings. And on the court, he wasn't just focused on the game. He was looking up into the stands, waving at Jackie, sending her hand signals like a teenager in love. Again, that might seem cute at first, but for a grown man to not be able to go anywhere without his wife. It started looking like more than love. It started looking like control. Like he wasn't just in a marriage, he was being watched, managed. And now that all this new information is coming out, people are asking the hard questions. Was Doe being controlled the whole time? And what about those vow renewals? Every year, without fail, Jackie and Doe renewed their vows. It became a whole event. Sometimes they even filmed it for TV. On the outside, it seemed romantic. But now it feels like a distraction. Like maybe it wasn't about love at all. Maybe it was about covering up the truth. When you're hiding something big, you overdo it with the displays of love. You post the perfect photos, give interviews about your perfect bond, and yes, you renew your vows every year so no one can question your marriage. It's classic misdirection. Give people a fairy tale so they don't see what's really happening behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Doe kept showing up, kept defending Jackie, kept being the loyal husband. And all along, Jackie was hiding the biggest betrayal of his life. Let's not forget Chris Webber in all of this. Because if you were being accused of secretly fathering someone's child, wouldn't you say something? Even if it was just to deny it? But Chris hasn't said a word, and that silence is speaking volumes. If it wasn't true, why not clear his name? He's got a reputation, a family of his own now. Staying silent makes it look like there's something to hide, or at least something so messy that talking about it would only make it worse. And don't forget, Chris and Jackie were close once. That's not gossip. That's a fact. They were seen together at events back in the day. People who saw them together said they had chemistry. Then Jackie married Doe, and that was that. But now, with this DNA news, people are rethinking everything. Maybe Chris wasn't just some old friend. Maybe he was the one Jackie never really let go of. And maybe that's why she held on so tightly to Doe. Because if the truth ever came out, her whole world, the image, the brand, the empire would come crashing down. And as if all that wasn't enough, Chantel has spoken out too. She's writing a book. And the title alone hits hard. Built on Lies, My Life as Someone Else's Daughter. That's not just a catchy title. That's a statement. That's Chantel telling the world, I was lied to my entire life. She hasn't shared much yet, but in a teaser she said, this isn't just about who my father is. It's about finally living in truth. That says everything. This isn't just about biology. It's about identity, about betrayal, about trying to piece your life back together after finding out the foundation you stood on wasn't real. Imagine that for a moment. Growing up thinking one man is your dad, loving him, being loved by him, and then one day finding out it was all a lie, and that your mom knew. That's not just heartbreaking, that's life-changing. One fan put it best. You could tell something was off with how hard they pushed that perfect image. Turns out, it was all smoke and mirrors. Another said, Doe was loyal to a fault. He didn't deserve this kind of betrayal. Right now, Doe hasn't spoken publicly, but word is he's devastated. People close to him say he's pulling away, that he's questioning everything, and who could blame him? Meanwhile, Jackie's still out here posting on Instagram, acting like nothing happened, smiling, posing, living like the truth didn't just tear apart everything she spent years building. And their marriage? Let's just say it's barely holding on. So now that you know the whole story, what do you think? Was Jackie manipulating Doe all along? Was their love real? Or was it just a cover to hide something deeper? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because this story, it's far from over.